The story about Donald Trump's Consolation Peace Prize participation trophy that we brought you at the top of the show, really, you had to see it to believe it. You can go look up the whole thing. It was one of the most surreal spectacles of the second Trump term. I felt like I was hallucinating. I mean, you got the President of the United States, he's walking the red carpet and pretending like he doesn't know he's going to get this fake prize that was specially made for him. One that the soccer conglomerate FIFA made up specifically for him as a way of ingratiating themselves, because everyone understands, like, you got to give the guy prizes and gifts and gold. And then shuffling across a lengthy stage to meet FIFA's president with sort of grave solemnity and accept his important peace prize. The most indelible image is arguably this one of the president theatrically pulling his medal out of its case before immediately putting it on, surprising the head of FIFA. Like, look how proud, you can't wait. Look how proud he is. Look how proud he is of his little gold medal. Today's proceedings came as new reporting indicated the president is privately raging at news coverage of his aging and apparent mental decline, and certainly any comparisons being made of him to Sleepy Joe. Although I have to say, to his credit today, it seems he did manage to stay awake for the ceremony. Aspen Subsang is a senior political correspondent for Zateo, who's reported on Trump's fury at the coverage of his decline. Donna Edwards, a former Democratic congresswoman of Maryland, and they join me now. So, I want you to talk a little bit about your reporting that you had about the fact that the coverage of Trump's, whatever you want to call it, age, mental state, propensity to doze off while someone is speaking about and to him merely 7 or 8 inches away, that he doesn't like the coverage of that. It's getting under his skin. What did you learn?
Well, I think on the public level, never mind the behind the scenes elements of that, which I'll get to in just a moment, but publicly, you can tell how incensed this president and this White House are when the media even gently points out on occasion that why is this guy falling asleep so routinely during public meetings? Why is his stamina not what it once was? Why is there evidence of what some people may even call cognitive or health decline? And if you talk to people who are very close to this president, whether they work in the administration or close to it, they will tell you, besides the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, there are fewer things that enrage him more on a visceral level than if you bring up to him or if he sees media coverage of his, shall we say, declining state. This has gotten to a point where senior officials in the administration have instructed underlings, fellow officials, media surrogates to keep reminding the public about his alleged rigor and energy and stamina. They have used the words stamina over and over again when they're encouraging their allies in the media and elsewhere to stick up for him. So this is something that has clearly gotten under his skin, largely because we have reached a breaking point when it comes to the national mainstream and legacy media, where it seems that there's a deluge of coverage of this. It's the New York Times, it's the Washington Post, it's CNN, it's all these different outlets that he really cares about and detests that cannot get around the fact that Sleepy Joe Biden has been replaced by Sleepy Donald Trump. And they are giving it the amount of coverage that it deserves, which unfortunately is a large amount.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to ignore when someone's falling asleep in the middle of a live televised event. You really don't see that a lot. It's really hard to ignore when it's the president. And Donna, of course, the thing that is, I think, haunts this entire discourse, particularly for Democrats, right, is that this was the central issue of the 2024 campaign before Joe Biden dropped out. It was the reason that Joe Biden dropped out after the debate performance. There's a range of opinions people have about how justified that was or not. But what was certainly the case was Joe Biden was advanced in age. He was the oldest man to hold the presidency. And it was also evident to everyone back in 2024 that if elected, he would be supplanted in that role by Donald Trump. And yet somehow that reality was not allowed to penetrate in the campaign in the same way that Joe Biden's age was.
Well, I mean, I think part of this is because sometimes, especially in public events, the way the president presents himself at rallies, on stage, when the, camera's on, he's standing up and he's, boxing and, dancing weirdly on stage. And it looks like he presents himself as vigorous, but the photographs and the videos speak for themselves. It doesn't matter how many times his spokespeople say the word stamina. if you've got video evidence that this guy is falling asleep, he's falling asleep. And so I think it's tough to refute that. And it does kind of get into the craw, I think, of Democrats, given that I can't remember times that Joe Biden was routinely caught sleeping when heads of state are around in cabinet meetings. And this president routinely does that. And, and I think it does stick with people that it was a thing that was attached to Joe Biden, maybe probably because of the nickname. But clearly, we've got a sleepy Donald Trump.
Yeah, and there's also, it also does seem like there are genuine health questions. I think there would be with, again, anyone of this age, Swin, and I know that they're so clearly defensive about that. But again, as with so many things, Swin, nothing they do, none of the statements can be found to be reassuring in any way, because it's all this North Korean style propaganda about how he can play 36 rounds of golf and has the greatest human heart that anyone's ever seen.
There are roughly $1 billion plus. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I think at this point it's gotten significantly more. If you tabulate it up, dedicated since January 2025, shoveled in by the federal government in public taxpayer dollars to try to make Donald Trump feel good about himself. There is a sprawling network of programs that you and I are paying for right now with our tax dollars that the federal government is using to make the so-called Emperor Trump feel very good about himself, make him feel like he is the coolest, greatest, most strongest president and leader of the free world there's ever been. And that has not stopped at all when it comes to him essentially instructing his White House and chief lieutenants throughout his administration and political party that they need to constantly tell the American people over and over and over and again that this guy is not declining in any way. And if you think so, you're fake news. Now, the problem is most observers and most voters have eyes and ears
are able to see him
successfully to their brain.
Donna, that spectacle today, I have to say, I couldn't stop watching, but my level of secondhand embarrassment surpassed anything I think I've ever seen with something involving Donald Trump. It was really a sight to behold.
Well, this was a SNL skit that just wrote itself from the very beginning. And the fact that he couldn't wait for, the Infantino to place the medal around him and he took it out of the box and put it on himself. First of all, it was very undignified, but it's a made up trophy. It is the T-ball. Everybody gets a peace trophy. And I think so many people, and Infantino joins the line of people over and over again who think that they can butter up this president in these kind of ways in order to, gain his attention, his satisfaction, to feed his ego. And this award today was no different from that. And it was, I was so embarrassed. I really had to grab myself because I was embarrassed for him.
Yes, I was too. Aswan Subsang, Donna Edwards, thank you both.